got me most into music, especially as a kid, was just listening to radio, things like Radio 1, Radio Luxembourg, that kind of thing, and anything from John Peel to Tony Blackburn, Robbie Vincent, Andy Peebles, lots of early pirate radio and that thing. And because there wasn't a lot of choice of radio at the time, it was just, you had whatever, you listened to whatever got played. So, Tony Blackburn did like a Saturday morning, almost like a kids radio show. This was around the time of sort of Tiswas and Swap Shop and all that kind of thing in the early 80s. So he'd be playing Adam and the Ants and Cliff Richard, and then, that same night John Peel would be playing loads of punk and reggae. So it was just having a load of music coming at you from all angles, or different music coming at you from the same angle, I suppose, more accurately. And then that kind of got me into buying music. I was really into Two Tone and Badness and the Specials. That was the first thing I got properly into. So I was buying all of that after listening to it on radio, and then soon after that got introduced to all the electro albums and stuff like that, and that got me into mixing. So I suppose within a space of 4 or 5 years, by the time I was about 13, I was kind of DJing at home on just domestic hi-fi equipment, but it all came out of radio, and a lot of mixes were played on radio in the 80s. So although I don't really listen to radio now, it's a really, really integral part of I suppose where I come from and what got me excited about music in the first place. Radio Lancashire. So these were all the ones that I could get kind of from round the northwest, and of course Radio 1 and a bit of Radio Luxembourg and a lot of pirate radio as well. And then I think in the early 90s, that was when you started getting a lot of different specialist radio stations. You'd have your Hearts and your Imagines and all this, basically radios with horrible beige names playing horrible beige music, or just playing the same thing all day. So you'd have like a soft rock station or a 60s and 70s station. So if you just wanted a bit of, if you were just casually interested in lots of different kinds of music, you had to look for it. And I think that's the thing that kind of put me off radio, because I just wanted to switch it on while I was doing the washing up and hear something I'd not heard before, not have to go mess around. If I wanted to do that, I'd go and put an album on. I think radio's there for me when you're in the mood to listen to some music, but haven't got the time to look for it. And nowadays there's so much, you got your Spotifys and your Last FMs and all the internet radio and podcasts, but I've got 25,000 records that I don't listen to enough. So it's kind of, I do listen to radio a bit, but because I have such a backlog of stuff to listen to, and as a DJ you think, right, well I've got these 20 CDs to listen to this week. You've kind of got to be constantly almost like processing music. Radio is a bit of a pleasure thing, whereas music is always for me a little bit of work, although I do really enjoy it, and once I find an album I like, I listen to it 10 or 15 times. The new single, I mean I've had 3 new singles off an album I've not finished yet. The latest is Be The Music, and yeah, just quite up-tempo, sparse. Yeah, but a lot of my, I don't know, I've got demos from 1987 which are like almost like acid house, so it's kind of, people are surprised because of all the sample stuff, but I mean the drums are still sampled on that, all the percussion's sampled. It's yeah, I think the last 4 or 5 years I've been getting into this kind of almost like half human, half robot music, where it sounds quite live and is a little bit wayward with the timing and still quite funky and loose, and with, I like to keep the drums sounding pretty heavy and sampled. I love that kind of hip-hop drum sound, but just playing around with a lot more synths and stuff. I mean, there was a bit of that on the last album, and I think whereas a lot of artists have a theme for each album, and they're like, well, this one's quite this way and this one's quite, this one's more of a hip-hop thing, this is more instrumental, this is more trippy. I kind of explore little themes within different tracks on each album, so something will be really heavy, something will be really mellow, there might be a soulful track on an album, and it's almost like each album covers the same amount of ground that one of my DJ sets does, but has the thread of my kind of thought processes through it, so it feels like a single body of work. So I'm still kind of developing ideas that I was working on 10 or 15 years ago. They just kind of, it's sort of different things come to light in different parts of the album. So that's a kind of, yeah, quite up-tempo, sparse, sort of bass heavy, but still, still with the crunchy, heavy drums, and it's got to feel a bit warm as well. But yeah, it's just me having fun and and trying new stuff out, and maybe not relying on such big samples, partly because on the last album I used quite a lot of samples, but it was just a nightmare getting clearance. I think because of the way the music industry's in, people are, you know, people who are more like the publishers who are, when you request, oh, you know, can I use this sample, rather than saying, oh yeah, we'll split it 50-50, they're like, no, we want all the publishing for this track. And a lot of hip-hop artists are that, you know, they'll be doing vocals over a sample, and they'll still only be getting 20% of the publishing. So that's why a lot of people are kind of moving into the, you know, moving into making a bit more music themselves. But you know, but at the end of the day, I'm having fun playing with synthesizers and old compressors and lots of analog stuff, and you know, playing lots of percussion myself, and kind of, you know, getting around some of these issues by doing it myself, but still treating it in the same way as a sample. You might almost make up a piece of music yourself and then sample that. So it's yeah, it's you know, it's still been very playful, which I think is very much a part of the sound of my music. You can tell whatever kind of style or tempo or mood a piece of music that I'm involved in has. You know, you can tell I had a great time making it. I just do too many gigs, to be honest, and I'm really bad at time management, so I'll do a bit of a tune and get really into it, and then it's like, oh no, I've got to, well not oh no, but I've got to go away and do some gigs, and then it'll take me a few days to recover, and you know, you can see by these bags under my eyes, it's the mixture of staying up till 6 in the morning and then, you know, getting up about 7 in the morning during the week is, I'm not wearing it too well, but it's, yeah, it'll get done. I've never been one for releasing tons of music, and it'll come out when it's ready and I'll be happy with it. And you know, I'm just envious of people, you know, mates of mine like Zeb Bias, who can record 2 albums a week. You know, he's just like, and everything he does is brilliant, but I'm like, I accept my kind of, you know, my slow work rate and my, oh damn, where did I put that again, and all that kind of thing. I take ages on a piece of music as well. I mean, I know other people I know, like Danny Breaks, he'll take a year to do a tune, so I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I'll take 3 or 4 days to do a tune, but that might be, you know, a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. But I've done loads of music, but it just doesn't feel like an album yet. And it's really weird for me. I like working on lots of separate tracks, and then almost tricking myself into doing an album, and then I'll look at it when it's all together and go, oh, that's what I'm trying to get at. But then there might be a couple of, right, it needs a bit more light over here, or some shade there, or there's a bit too much of that one thing. I like a good spread of tempos and different feelings and moods, and I'm kind of missing a couple of bits off my sort of current body of work, but it'll get done soon, is the yeah, but I'm not sure when. My favourite UK festival, I've got a couple. One is Beat Herder. I've played that 2 years in a row now. That's one up in Lancashire. And I played there last year when it was amazing and sunny. I played 5 hours in this clearing in the trees. It's amazing, and the atmosphere and just the whole kind of way that people behaved. It was, people treated it like it was their festival. It was very respectful, a really good, proper up for it atmosphere, but no idiots. It was just pure, you know, very joyful, blissful sunshine. I was playing all kinds of stuff, so there were people in hammocks reading books, there were people raving, and everything in between. And then this year I played 7 hours, and it was really muddy and horrible, and same atmosphere. It was like, yeah, I like this place. And they've got no sponsorship, they've got their own real ale tent, really good mix of music, lots of local DJs who they book and come back year on year. So they had a few headliners, like I think last year they had Horace Andy, this year they had Orbital. So there's a few big names, but the vast majority of the people are local DJs from probably within 50 miles who play there every year, and I really like that attitude to it. So it's a good kind of community style festival, really well run, and everyone involved, you know, so it's a cooperative. I just spent ages on the phone with the organisers, kind of having a chat, because they keep asking you feedback and stuff like that. So it doesn't have any of the feeling of the kind of horrible corporate big festivals. It's just really, really well done. So that's my favourite one. There's another one called Festival Number 6, which I played at this year in Portmeirion, which for the first year of the festival I was absolutely astounded by. That's probably my second favourite one. I played at Green Man this year, which was nice. The weather wasn't great. I think you need to see that in the sunshine. But off the top of my head, I mean, there's loads more little small ones. I've heard Shambhala's great. Loads of great little festivals. But from my personal experience in recent years, they're my kind of current 3 favourites. Having a brew, say, with Stevie Wonder would be very nice. Yeah, cup of tea with Stevie Wonder, and a whole pot, I reckon. That'd be very good.